Until Anita Hill accused Supreme Court nominee Clarence Thomas of sexual harassment back in 1991, it was not a topic discussed regularly.
Indeed, but she ignited a movement from buttons saying "Believe Anita Hill" to today's Me Too slogan of "Believe Women." A lot has changed in 30 years, but a lot of problems haven't gone away either. That is the subject of Anita Hill's latest book, Believing, and she has a special event tonight, which she'll tell us about. Joining us this morning, Anita Hill. Anita, thanks for being with us.
Good morning.
So I had a high school history teacher who used to say, everything's connected to everything, and that tends to be sort of the overall theme of your book. Walk us through your analysis of a lot of the major problems that are afflicting society today and how difficult it is to address them.
Well, you know, the book is about gender violence, broadly speaking, which includes sexual harassment, which I'm known for, but it also includes things like bullying in schools. It includes, of course, sexual harassment in schools and colleges and universities. It includes sexual harassment in the workplace, personal, intimate partner violence, stalking. It's a whole range of behaviors that I call gender violence, and it's something that I wanted to talk about because I've heard from survivors and victims over the past 30 years, and they see the connections between all of those behaviors. And so I wanted to explore that in the book and figure out how we can get rid of the problems, how we can solve these problems, because people are hurting. It's hurting communities, and it's hurting us as a nation.
Now, you try to tackle this problem, which is so complex. It's pervasive in all areas of, like you said, private life, public life, celebrity culture, and even most recently in sports, we saw with Larry Nassar and USA Gymnastics. What is one area that you think maybe needs a bit more attention right now?
Well, you have to start somewhere, but you know, it's not clear exactly where to start. I start by talking about the public officials' behavior in response to it, starting in 1991. And I look at the arc of where we were in 1991 and where we are today. If we wanted to really get to the heart of the problem, though, I think we'd have to start with elementary schools and the messages that we are giving children about harm that is caused by gender violence. For example, I got an email just recently about Title IX's protections and the need for them in elementary schools. And in the email was a message from a little girl who said that she had had her first experience with sexual assault when she was in the first grade. And she told her teacher about it, and her teacher ended up punishing her for, as the teacher said, being inappropriate. We also tell children that the problems that they're experiencing are not so bad. We use that phrase a lot to describe what victims experience. And we need to start by changing our language and changing the thinking about the harm of the problem, because it is harmful, and the harm can be long-lasting.
Yeah, that's incredible to hear a first grader having to deal with that. You know, and I have seen the previews of the book. One of the things you speak about is, you know, the so-called woke generation. You're saying that in general, yes, younger people maybe have a better perspective on the issues like this, but ultimately, are the institutions up to creating the change we would need to see?
Well, young people are very anxious to create solutions. My generation was anxious to create solutions. However, what we find is that the problem and the bad thinking, the cultural myths are built into the systems that we have now. So in order to make change, we've got to change those systems. We have to create systems where people feel welcome to enter when something happens to them, as well as they feel that they're going to get a fair shake and be able to be heard. We don't have that in many instances right now. So we don't have it for our young people. And if we don't, eventually, we're going to be passing the problems on from generation to generation as we have in the past. You know, the problem of sexual harassment didn't begin or end with me. And it's not going to end with this generation if we don't pay attention to it right now.
Now, after you became a high-profile example of harassment, you went on to study this and become a highly respected scholar, especially in women's rights. So it would be such a treat for people to be able to kind of pick your brain a bit more on these topics. You're allowing people to do that. Tonight, you're holding a very special event. Tell us a bit more about it.
Well, I'm excited to be a part of the town hall discussion tonight with Dr. Eddie Glaw Jr. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about my personal journey to becoming more of an advocate. I started out as a teacher and reticent to really get into the subject of gender-based violence. I am now there, and I want to be an advocate. I'm going to talk about my journey to getting there. I'm going to talk about the country's journey, where we were 30 years ago and where we are now, and what we need to do to solve the problem, to move ahead, to protect people in their workplaces, in their schools, in their homes, and on the streets.
You know, and just briefly to wrap up, you know, it has been 30 years now since the Supreme Court hearings. Where are we? Did you think we'd be further along than we are now?
Well, as a hopeful person, I always think we'll be further along than what we usually are when I take stock. But I do think we've made a lot of advances. I think the public awareness is increased. I think the public sentiment against gender violence is there. I think we are beginning to understand how it's harming all of us. And I think if we put that energy together and make a commitment for accountability for ourselves as well as for our leaders, then we can get to where we need to be.
Anita Hill, such a pleasure talking to you. The book Believing is out now. Quickly, where's the website that people can go to buy the tickets for tonight's event?
I don't have the website. I think it was on your screen.
It was on the screen.
Yep.
If we can get a
Yeah.
shot.
Yeah, it was
Let
on
you guys
the
know about
screen.
that soon.
Or Google will work as well, Anita.
Yes. Please Google Anita Hill at Town Hall. It's Town Hall.
Oh, yeah, thetownhall.org. We have it up there. Excellent.
There you go.
All right, we
All
appreciate
right.
that.
Thanks so much, Anita.
Pleasure.
Thanks. Bye.